Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. Great to have everyone on here tonight. It is 9 o'clock here on the East Coast and 8 o'clock Central Time. We are finally starting to see Winter Storm Fern move out of the area. Most of the precipitation has now cleared through much of our area. Still have some precipitation over into the Carolinas and up into the Northeast. And we are also seeing some precipitation, scattered precipitation, still lingering back even through Dallas and back actually behind the front here, even into parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. But bulk of the snow obviously now up here through New England. Here's our big low pressure maker now off of the coast of New Jersey. And that cold front draped through, coming off of the coast. And then our secondary system that's caused all this different severe weather here, moving across Georgia this evening, central Georgia. So we're in the clear. Temperatures I've held down into the low 30s here. We did have a brief changeover in some areas from that freezing rain to rain, but now all that moisture is pretty much off to the east. We'll have to see if overnight, if we get any residual, very light precipitation possibly moving through. Again, there's a very low, I'd say really like less than a 5% chance that we see some of this snow and freezing rain potentially move over into parts of North Georgia. But I really think it's going to be too dry for there to be any sort of snow flurries out there to coat the ice and stuff like that we do have. I do want to take a look at the roads because they're definitely wet out there. We are going to see a very brief warm up in temperatures here in the next hour or two, maybe getting up in close to the mid 30s before we see those really cold temperatures come crashing in from Alabama. They're already reporting, especially up in parts of northwest Alabama, that black ice is definitely becoming a threat and happening out there. We're even here in Georgia, especially up 85. And I'll show this to you here in just a minute. We've seen some reports of some icy roads on Interstate 85, Interstate 985, a lot of the roads up in northeast Georgia having a lot of ice being reported. And that's because up there temperatures are at or below freezing. So we've pretty much been hanging right around 33 degrees here in the Snellville, Stone Mountain area. But you can see here off to the west, we've got temperatures in the mid-30s, 37, 39, even 42 over here in Bremen. And then right behind it, here's where that front kind of coming through and temperatures start cooling back down, 34 in Gadsden and 34. And then in the 20s, 21 up here. So northwest Alabama already really seeing those temperatures coming crashing down. Even Tuscaloosa is below freezing. Outside of Birmingham, you're right back below freezing. So there's really basically this very narrow area of warm air kind of right in through this area here. But this is actually going to shrink as it moves off to the east. So we'll see really it'll be more, this area here as we go through the evening, it'll kind of come down. Hey Rob, great to see you on here tonight. Thanks for tuning in. So let me show you some of the, and I want to hear from you guys too, as well as what you guys have been seeing here today. It's definitely been quite a day out here. But I did want to talk about road conditions here in Georgia. So this is our Georgia 511 site, and I know I had seen there were some, let me turn off the cameras real quick. So I know that, yeah, here we go. So this is up near 985 and 85. We've got a report of ice patches on I-85 northbound 985. Left lane is blocked up there. We also have another report here, ice patches on I-85 southbound there at Gravel Springs Road. The left lane being blocked. So this is something where we're going to see some more of these reports here, even over here on 285. We actually have flooding on I-285 southbound, causing the right lane to be blocked there. So that was as of about 15 minutes ago. And then we also have, we had an incident there on the west side of Atlanta. But you can see here out towards Athens, we've got some more icy patches that are being reported. Tree limbs on 174 there, all lanes closed. They're kind of north of Athens. So definitely seeing some, and you can see obviously up here as we get into the mountains, a lot more incidents with trees down and power lines down on some of these roads down here. Good evening, Candace. And then even up here toward east of Dalton, seeing some icy patches as well. And then potholes and down here in Macon. We've got a crash down there, probably from the wet roads. So some different things that we'll have to keep an eye on, and we'll probably see more of these reports, especially as we get into, I think, tomorrow morning. And again, we'll get into the 20s here. And this is kind of what we're looking at here as far as temperatures go. So there's that warm nose that I was talking about, pretty much across northwest Georgia and into Alabama. And we're basically right here at about 34, 33, 32 still over in Athens. So as we go through the evening, we'll see a brief warm-up, maybe getting up to 36, 37 in some places, but then quickly coming down once this cold air here moves in overnight. And we'll get down into about 26, 27 degrees here in Atlanta and still below freezing there. And we're not really expecting, especially in the Atlanta area, to get really much at all above freezing during the day tomorrow. We might get to 30 or 33, somewhere in there, depending on where you're at. So 29 there in Atlanta, 33 out closer to Athens. So really 34, 35. So really not expecting to get above freezing at all tomorrow. So whatever does freeze tonight is going to likely stay frozen through pretty much all day tomorrow. And then as we go in from tomorrow night into tomorrow morning, it really gets cold. You can see these teens coming in here. This is about midnight or 2 a.m. And then we're down to 12, 14 here, 20 over in Athens for Tuesday morning. So it is going to be bitterly cold, and that's not even factoring in wind chills. Look at some of these wind chills here that we're going to see here as we get into Tuesday morning. I mean, we're talking wind chills, maybe 4 degrees around Atlanta, 0, -1 on the north side, maybe 12 degrees over in Athens, and it's still dropping. So that's 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So, I mean, 8 a.m., we're going to have wind chills basically right around 0 degrees through much of the Atlanta metro area over to Athens. So it is going to be dangerously cold. Dangerously cold. The other thing that we're keeping an eye on tonight is our wind gusts. So it's been really calm today. As far as the winds, we really haven't seen much winds, but that is going to be changing here as we go to the overnight hours. We're going to see those winds really pick up as we go through the overnight hours here tonight and then through much of the day tomorrow. I mean, we're talking those winds are going to get up to 25, maybe even 30 miles per hour here by about 2 a.m. So any ice that we have on those trees. That's where overnight tonight is where we could see some of those more of those tree branches break off, especially the closer you get to Athens, Gainesville, where they did get a lot more significant icing than we did in Atlanta down toward Covington and those areas over towards Roswell and Woodstock, where there wasn't as much ice. But further east where there's more ice accumulation, this is going to be a problem overnight and increase that threat for more power outages. Now, the power crews have done a great job today. Got to give them a big shout out. We were at about 100,000 power outages across Georgia, and they've really kind of cleaned it up here, especially across the Atlanta metro area where they've been able to get out and work. And so now the state's at about 42,000 power outages here as of right now. So definitely kudos to them. But again, we could see a resurgence in some power outages overnight tonight through the day tomorrow, especially out here, I think, towards Athens, Walton County, Morgan County, Oconee County, Clark County, Jackson County, Hall County. That area, I think, even over here toward Oglethorpe County, where we have some of the much higher ice totals from today. That's where that power outage threat overnight tonight into tomorrow is going to be the biggest threat. I think DeKalb County and Gwinnett County will be very limited. Still could have some spotty outages in those counties, even down toward Henry County and Newton County. But I think this area here is really going to be the bullseye for some more of these power outages, possibly overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that, especially throughout the day tomorrow. So let's go back to our wind forecast here. So this is midnight tonight. We're at about 17 to 23. Again, they're going to be coming in from the west. You can really see them cranking in there across Mississippi. And then as we go through the overnight, we're at about 25, maybe getting up to 30, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. We're well over 30 mile per hour wind gusts, getting up toward 35 here. Up in the mountains, we're talking maybe some 40 mile per hour wind gusts. That's really going to cause problems up there overnight tonight as these winds pick up. But you can see a wide swath here of 30 plus mile per hour wind gusts with sustained winds between 15 and 20 miles per hour. And this is going to last here through much of the morning tomorrow and even into the afternoon. So that's 2 o'clock. And then tomorrow night we'll start to see those winds calm down. But even still staying around 20 miles per hour into the overnight. And then Tuesday. So it's going to be breezy out there, and this is going to reinforce that cold that you can see here. Let's take a look at some of these temperatures here for the next couple of days again. So cold in the east, really cold, northwest Alabama, warm slot right here. That warm slot's going to weaken. We will again see maybe temperatures getting up to 36, 37 degrees briefly, maybe around midnight. I know it's kind of weird, temperatures going up as we're getting later in the evening, but it is possible. Again, that could cause some melting, but all that water that, if any water that does melt here, say at midnight, it's going to end up on the roads and stuff like that. And then very quickly, maybe 2 hours later, it's going to be back down to below freezing. And that's where we'll have that flash freeze happen overnight. So definitely still a flash freeze threat out there for the North Georgia area. Even all the way down to Macon. You know, we could see some slick, icy spots on the roads. Anywhere where all that rain's been falling today, that is where we could see black ice tomorrow morning. So taking a look again at our live radar here, we can see we still have rain falling down Macon over to Augusta, down through here. And you can see here those temperatures again. So still 32 in Lawrenceville, 32 out here in Monroe, 34 in Covington, 35 over in the Brookhaven area, 36 up near Sandy Springs, 35 in Kennesaw. And then warmer out west. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on this. Again, I don't think there will be any precipitation, any more precipitation. If anything, it'll be really, really light showers, maybe. Kind of down here near South Fulton, like we're seeing. So we might see a little bit of light precipitation, but nothing like what we saw earlier this afternoon when all that heavy freezing rain and rain moved through the area. So that's kind of the latest update that we've got here for our area. Still seeing that freezing rain moving here through eastern North Carolina, moving out of Washington D.C. up through parts of New Jersey, and then obviously all snow up here. They are getting absolutely pounded with snow right now here in New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, most of Maine, and even Vermont and New Hampshire. Even parts of Pennsylvania still picking up some snow. And then that stretches all the way back here through parts of eastern Kentucky, and then even back here to Dallas. And here's another snowmaker out here in Colorado. Seeing that. So it'll definitely be something we'll be keeping an eye on here throughout the day tomorrow. Well, let's take a look here at some of our current conditions out there on the roads, kind of see what they are. We'll start out here around the Monroe area. That obviously is down. So you can see here all this moisture and liquid that's on the road here. And again, all of this is going to freeze. And it doesn't take very much. Does not take much to turn into black ice. Because remember, when liquid freezes, it expands. So it will become icy in the morning. So that's out here near Loganville. You can still see there's still even icicles out here. So obviously we still have that. And looks like even a little bit of sleet fell out there today. You can see some of the white out in that area. If you're just tuning in, thanks for joining. Let us know where you're watching from. Be sure to drop a comment there in the live chat. We're taking a look at some of the live road conditions here around the Atlanta metro area. Further down south, down near Conyers, Covington, again, these areas did not see as much precipitation as far as the freezing rain. A little bit, you can see a little bit here on the power lines. But we got someone out there on the road, but still not much traffic. It's actually kind of foggy out there right now. But that's down there near Rockdale area. Decula, Joe French saying Decula. Let's check up in Decula because that's an area up here where they did get a lot more freezing rain here around Decula. Let's see if we can get a better camera. Here we go. Video may not work on that. Let's still take a look at the picture. Oh, yeah, you can see the major difference in the roads out here in Decula. A lot of slush out here on the roads from that sleet that y'all had earlier. So, again, you could see that this crosswalk right here. Look at all that water on the road there in Decula. So this is going to, again, where it's like this is really going to be completely iced over by the morning. That's a lot of water on the road there in and around Decula. That camera's down. Here's another view. Yeah, you can see it's going to be icy out there. All this will be iced over by the morning with us getting down into the 20s. Looks like they actually did have a plow kind of run through here earlier. You can see cleared a lane in each direction. Looks like. But still, even as we get this little warm up, this is the other thing with this is if we get into some of these areas getting to the mid 30s, a lot of this sleet and stuff like that will, again, it'll start melting. And then once those temperatures drop below freezing into the 20s, it'll just completely freeze. And that's going to be a big problem. So the melting is good on one hand, but at the same time, it's bad. It's good for the trees, but bad for the roads. It's good for the trees, but bad for the roads. Down here, closer to Snellville, this is what it looks like. Again, still see some. It may not be as icy the further west you are. Again, I think around here, around Snellville, Stone Mountain, it's damp out there, but there's not like huge puddles and not nearly like the sleet like we just saw up in Decula and out further east towards even towards Monroe and Athens, Bethlehem. Let's take a look at Bethlehem. Bethlehem really wet and icy out there. Don't look like that road got plowed at all, but you can see people rolling through it. So that is definitely going to be a big issue as we go through the overnight into the morning and through the day tomorrow. So while the roads were somewhat passable today, by tomorrow morning they will not. That will not be the case once everything freezes over. And that's the thing. Throughout the day tomorrow, we're not expecting the temperatures to really get above freezing at all. Maybe to 33 or 34. This is over here near Monroe. Again, you see those icicles on the camera from today. And then as you come south to Monroe, let's check out down here near Covington, because they actually had a good little bit. So there's I-20 down here. And you could see the ice on the trees here. And this is a really great shot showing that ice that's coated these trees out here. And that's going to be the concern tomorrow with that wind is any trees that still have ice on them, that's where the branches could potentially start breaking off once we get these stronger winds. Out in Mississippi, up in North Georgia, we've already had reports of down trees, down power lines. I don't think it's going to be like nearly as widespread here, but there still could be a few spots. Even in my backyard, we actually had a limb come down from one of our pine trees that snapped off earlier this afternoon. So there are that is a possibility, and those pine trees are notorious for snapping, especially once the winds get blowing and they're frozen. Out here further east, in Madison, Georgia, that camera is really kind of iced over there. You can't even really see anything there with that. And then out here toward Athens, Georgia, kind of on the west side of Athens. That's what it looks like. It really a lot of more sleet and slush out there on the roads. So it is definitely going to be a very, very rough morning commute out. Again, the further east and north you go. Let's kind of check out some of the I-85 corridor here. Let's check around Lawrenceville. See if we can get some of these. That's out. Maybe one of these here on 316. Yeah, those trees are covered in ice. Not a great shot of the road there. Looks like we got some sort of police activity here. I think that may have been where that stalled vehicle was earlier. So, yeah, the roadways are definitely wet and slick out there. And so black ice, again, going to be a huge, huge problem as we go into the day tomorrow. So, definitely be safe out there. If you are traveling, I know some folks may be traveling back into Atlanta. Um, Ideally, you'd want to time it where it is the afternoon. Could roads be safe to travel to Cartersville tomorrow? Um, Depending on the route that you take, Cartersville is on the northwest side of Atlanta. They did not see quite as much sleet. The roads definitely look wet out there for sure. So I honestly don't think that, especially in Cartersville, it's definitely not going to get above freezing up there tomorrow. Down south, the further southeast you are of Atlanta, that's where we have that potential to get above freezing. But Cartersville, it's probably gonna be in the 20s. So I would say no, it's not going to be safe to travel up to Cartersville tomorrow. If you're maybe trying to get south and go to Macon or out east towards Augusta tomorrow, that's a different story. But trying to get to going north or west tomorrow, that's not going to probably be very possible because it's not going to get above freezing up there all day long tomorrow. Good question. Especially if you're coming from Decula. I don't think that stretch between Decula and Cartersville that the roads will be clear tomorrow. It won't be most likely till Tuesday afternoon, maybe. Let's see here. Yeah, it may not be till like Tuesday afternoon where then you're, getting up closer to like 35. So that's going to probably be a better bet if you can travel up there Tuesday afternoon. But tomorrow afternoon up there does not look very promising. Here's a new look at our temperatures. It's 35. So yeah, again, we'll have that brief warm up here before those cold temperatures come in here by tomorrow morning. And then there's tomorrow afternoon. So northwest Georgia, pretty much from, just north of Columbus through Atlanta, up through Lawrenceville and that area, all the way up to Toccoa. That area in northwest is the area that it's looking like we will not get above freezing tomorrow. And then east and southeast of there, we may get slightly above freezing for a few hours before that really cold air again, the Monday night into Tuesday air comes in. Let's take a look again at some of our wind forecast here for the next 18 hours. So obviously right now it is pretty calm out there. Winds are blowing maybe 3 miles per hour. But we are expecting those winds to really move in here in about the next 2 hours. Probably right around 11:30 midnight. You're really going to hear those winds picking up outside. And then overnight, and then by tomorrow morning, when you wake up, if you wake up at 7, 8 o'clock, that's when it will really be going through tomorrow morning, even into tomorrow afternoon. We were talking wind gusts 36, 35 miles per hour here around Atlanta, 34 over in Walton County, 35 up in Hall County. So, these are pretty strong wind gusts. I would not be surprised to potentially see them issue some sort of wind advisory for tomorrow, especially given the condition of our ice on the trees. So this is why we can't let our guard down yet. Yes, the precipitation has stopped, but we have another threat with this storm, and that's going to be the wind. The wind and the combination of the ice is not going to be a good combination for some folks. Not for everyone, but there are definitely going to be places where this strong of wind, it's gonna cause some tree damage. Anywhere I would say where you got, over a quarter of an inch of ice still on your trees tonight, that's where you'll have some of that breakage occurring through the day tomorrow, overnight tonight and through the day tomorrow. If you have over half of an inch of ice where you're at, that's where you'll really have a lot more tree damage throughout the day tomorrow. So that's going to be a scary situation. I've seen some videos even today up in Sandy Springs, actually, of a pine tree that fell through a house and injured someone earlier this afternoon. So that is, definitely going to be a concern as we go through the overnight hours tonight and then through the day tomorrow. But again, they're doing a great job, even just since we've been on this live stream. Power outages now in Georgia down to 33,000. So again, it was 100,000, over 100,000 earlier this afternoon. So that is fantastic. And now we're we just went up 10,000. And I just got a text saying that they canceled our trash collection for tomorrow. Meanwhile, Mississippi, obviously still with a ton of power outages. You see that. And then Louisiana's got quite a few as well. 121,000 still out there. Tennessee, though, has been the big winner with this storm so far. 281,000 still without power. So it has definitely been rough out there in Tennessee. But we'll be definitely keeping an eye on these winds throughout the day tomorrow. And we'll have to see if we get any precipitation to come in here overnight tonight at all. I mean, this band of precipitation basically stretches from Pikeville all the way back to Dallas. That's kind of interesting, the snow coming down again in Dallas out here, northern side of Dallas. I don't think we'll see anything because of our proximity to this low pressure system. I don't think we'll get any more winter precipitation. If anything, we might get a few scattered showers as this kind of continues to march off to the east-northeast. Daniel, work commute from Lawrenceville to Duluth. Definitely recommend staying home tomorrow. That's kind of that zone. Once you get up here into Lawrenceville and north, that's where we saw some of that really a lot more freezing rain, a lot more slush on the roads over in that area. So definitely plan on staying home at least through the day tomorrow. We'll have to see how any melting occurs tomorrow afternoon, if we can get above freezing for a few hours with some sunlight. But at least through tomorrow morning, for sure. I was looking at some of those traffic cameras earlier there, Daniel, and definitely saw a little bit of sleet on the roads and more slush than, especially down here, like where we're at. The roads are damp, but there's not a bunch of puddles and water all over them like it is up further north and east. Like even in Decula, I was talking here with Joe, and he's out there. I was looking at maybe going from Decula over toward Cartersville. And the other problem for tomorrow is the further north and west that you go, the less probability there is of actually getting above freezing tomorrow. So it's not looking great for tomorrow. If you do have to absolutely go out, you're really gonna wanna take it slow and watch out for. I think the big problem with tomorrow, Georgia's so hilly that the smallest hill, if there's ice on that hill, you may be going. You're just not gonna make it up that hill. Like even out here, right off the road that I live, I remember, even if you have the smallest amount of ice, you just slip and slide and your wheels are spinning. And you just don't want to be an accident out there. So I will say today, I am proud of Georgia for really doing a pretty great job staying off the roads. We've had a few accidents out there up on 85 and 985 with a few people that did go out. But for the most part, it's been pretty good here out in these areas. You are most welcome, sir. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we're all below freezing here, and it's really dry. So I don't think we're going to get any sort of additional precipitation overnight tonight. Let's see here. Yeah, definitely a dry layer of air. Again, if anything, we might get a few like little scattered rain showers that move through. But I don't think we're gonna see any sort of snow or anything like that, like they're seeing out in parts of Texas. Maybe just a scattered rain shower. And yeah, that wind really gets cranking as we go into the next few hours. Alabama kind of spared out on the power outages. But yeah, we're looking better. 47,000, South Carolina. North Carolina, not too bad. Virginia's at 25,000. West Virginia's at 23,000. Kentucky's picked up to 51,000. So still 882,000 in the U.S. without power right now. How is Dallas? Dallas, Georgia? Dallas, Georgia actually fared pretty much fine. They just had mostly rain today out there. The western suburbs of Atlanta really didn't see anything other than rain this afternoon. It was really all east of 285 where we saw that additional freezing rain. Let's take a look out here in the Dallas area. See what the roads are like. I mean, obviously it's wet, so where it's wet again, yeah, this'll become black ice in the morning. Any precipitation left on the roads by I'd say 2 a.m., will turn to black ice. It'll be patchy. It'll be spotty. It won't be everywhere. But there definitely will be, still even be out in Dallas, that threat of black ice out there. Especially getting out there. If you're trying to come across, 285 or something like that, there will be patchy black ice. But as far as like ice accumulation on trees and stuff like that, they don't really have any of that they had to worry about today out there in Dallas. Speaking of 285, let's kind of take a look, see what some of the perimeters looking like here. Wow, you can see, look at the ice on these trees out here. This is just on the northern side. That's a solid, probably close to 1/4 of an inch if I had to estimate, just from what I'm looking at here. This is 285 at Shallowford. So, and that's going to be the other thing. When that wind comes through, we know that 285 is lined with trees. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some reports of trees across the road in the morning tomorrow. That's going to be another threat is these trees coming across some of these roads. So that's just why tomorrow is a really good idea, to do your best to stay off the roads. See how downtown's looking. Yeah, you can see it's definitely, look how wet that is there. That's Cortland at Ellis there in Atlanta. So it's going to be a big black ice problem tomorrow. Because none of this moisture is going to evaporate. Because by the time that wind arrives, it's already going to be below freezing. That's the thing. The wind basically brings in and is going to actually help with that flash freeze event. Because it's going to cool all the surface temperatures down. That's going to be a mess in the morning. Look at all the moisture there on I-20 there. So that's the problem. Even though it did rain this afternoon, none of it's evaporated on the roads. It's still very wet out there. And so it'll all change over from just wet wet to black ice where it gets below freezing. Especially up here, even in like northwest Georgia, where they didn't see the freezing rain per se because it was all just rain. There still could be a good bit of black ice out here, even on these roads. So that's why I believe there's still, let me see here, if they're still under any sort of, yeah. We still have this cold weather advisory. That winter storm warning still continuing. Not winter storm warning, ice storm warning here, excuse me. Ice storm warning still continuing here for all of, pretty much all of Metro Atlanta through the I-20 corridor. They did not trim that back, and for good reason, because we're still having impacts from this ice storm across these areas here. So that is definitely something here that we have to keep into consideration as we go through the overnight hours into the morning hours. So power outages, still a possibility anywhere within this ice storm warning, I would say, overnight tonight and through the morning tomorrow. And then once that ice storm warning does expire, we also still have this cold weather advisory for all of north and much of even down towards central Georgia. Again, we are going to have wind chills from 0 to 15 degrees, depending on where you're at. Those wind chills are going to be absolutely brutal tomorrow morning and even into the afternoon with those wind gusts of 35 miles per hour. So if it's, 30 degrees, but we have a wind gust blowing at 35 miles an hour, that's really going to make it feel like it's in the teens. And that'll still be even in the afternoon tomorrow. That's not just tomorrow morning, those winds. Those winds are going to be pretty much throughout the day tomorrow. So we'll definitely keep you posted. Ice storm warnings also still continuing back here in parts of Mississippi as well. And northeast Louisiana, southeast Arkansas, all those areas still under the ice warning. They have not canceled those ice storm warnings yet either. And still stretching up here through parts of the Carolinas. Starting to bring down some of these winter storm warnings here. You can see some of those are starting to come down as that snow's moving out of the area. But you can see a lot of extreme cold warnings out here. And these cold weather advisories and extreme cold watches stretching all the way down to Florida, into the Florida Panhandle. That just shows you how powerful that this Arctic air is going to be throughout the day tomorrow and then again into Tuesday. Tomorrow, I'll probably be doing a live stream as well, because I do want to take a look at what happens as we go into Tuesday, and then also probably starting tomorrow is when we'll start taking a look at next weekend and seeing what the probabilities are like for another sort of winter. There likely will be some kind of winter weather somewhere next weekend. It may not be here in Atlanta, but there is the indications of another storm moving across the country next weekend. So that is something that we'll have to start looking into, especially as we get into Tuesday into Wednesday, as things begin to come into focus. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream tonight. So just recapping what we were talking about here. This is kind of what I'm thinking. I believe that we will have these. I think we're pretty much done with the precipitation. I don't think we're going to have any more precipitation this evening. And I think we will see a renewed threat for power outages, especially across parts of eastern and northeastern Georgia, from Athens up to Gainesville and east and northeast from there. I think that's where our greatest power outage risk will be overnight tonight and through the day tomorrow, with more scattered and sporadic power outages stretching all the way back towards Atlanta. We'll see all of the roads. By the time we wake up in the morning, all the roads will pretty much be frozen over, especially around Atlanta, north of Atlanta. And then throughout the afternoon tomorrow, we'll see road conditions improving south of Atlanta and southeast of Atlanta, out towards Augusta, maybe south of I-20, where it does get above freezing. But northwest of Atlanta, where it stays in the 20s, that black ice will not be melting at all tomorrow. And then as well, in and around the Atlanta, I don't think Atlanta is going to get above freezing. Athens might get to 35 tomorrow, out towards Athens, but for the majority, there will be very little melting that would occur with that, as we've seen today. And then Monday night into Tuesday morning, we will have another hard freeze again, and that's where we could start seeing the problems with your pipes. Again, especially if tomorrow we don't get above freezing, that'll be nearly 48 hours where our water pipes could be at or below freezing, and especially Monday night to Tuesday morning, that's where we get down in some places to the single digits and in many places down into the teens. Wind chills will be near zero. Some places it could be as low as, especially up in the mountains, I think it would be below zero. So we still have a lot more impacts even beyond just the precipitation that has fallen here today across the area. So we'll be back here. We'll probably do another live stream sometime tomorrow late morning, maybe around 10, 11 o'clock. I'll hop on here, and we'll be monitoring those cameras, keeping an eye out for trees coming down and more power outages. So stay safe out there, guys. Make sure you have a way to keep yourself warm if the power does go out in the middle of the night. Hopefully it won't, but if it does go out in the middle of the night, make sure you've got a plan in place for you and your family to keep yourself safe from power outages and any potential falling trees and stuff like that. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow right here on Extreme Weather Videos. Stay safe, everyone.